Good afternoon and welcome back again, Realty Pros, for another week of Porterhouse Realty Talks. Today, we're going to continue in our conversation about marketing. The last 2 weeks, we've been talking about marketing for short sales. We're going to wrap that up by showing you the tools and resources that you have at your disposal and where to find those and how to use them. And then we're going to branch out into other types of marketing. This is going to be several weeks worth of information, but we are going to begin to scratch the surface of that today, okay? A couple of you have had this training before, and as always, our trainings are interactive, so I'm looking forward to getting a whole lot of insight and feedback from you guys on this. And if you have anything to share, go ahead and unmute yourself as always, put something in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so the last couple of weeks, we've had Alan Weiner with us from Short Sale Services. Can anybody help me to give a recap as to what things he's been training on over the last couple of weeks? All right, I'm going to call on somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, Alan's been talking about the potential for short sales, that the market is about to kind of make a somewhat of a shift for a lot of the folks that have been kind of kicking the can for their mortgage payment down the road during COVID. That we're going to start to see, and we've already seen a spike in properties that are going to be potentially coming up for a short sale, which means that we can go after those short sales for potential listings. So he's been talking about kind of that, and I guess marketing strategies are things that we can do in order to get the listing.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Curtis. Does anybody else remember anything else that Alan Weiner has shared with us over the last couple of weeks?
So he specifically talked about, like Curtis was saying, marketing strategies. He was talking about direct marketing through mailing, direct mail marketing. And he also talked with us about how to use Realty Track and pre-foreclosures, how to actually mine those through the MLS. So we did a lot of looking at how that works, what is hot, what's not, whether or not we should work with 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or something that's a lot older. And he talked about bulky mail, which I always like. So he basically was talking to us about strategies, and those were some of the details that we addressed over the last couple of sessions.
Excellent. Thank you for that as well, Dee. Does anybody remember the information that he gave to us with regards to the CARES Act and what specifics we need to be able to dialogue with regarding our clients' situation? Curtis alluded to it when he said those that have been basically kicking the can down the road because of COVID. But can anybody tell me any specifics that Alan gave to us? All right, so for those that weren't here, if anybody can recap, what provision did the CARES Act give to homeowners?
I believe that one of the provisions is that the non-payment is basically coming to an end on June 30th.
Okay.
Like where they don't have to make a payment, or they haven't been making payments, but that's going to be over June 30th. So essentially July 1st, banks are going to start to, be reaching out to these folks to get their money, start collecting their funds.
Thank you. And he said they're going to have a couple of options. Does anybody remember any of those? Can anybody give me one option that homeowners are going to have? There were several of them.
I believe one of the options is that they can kind of stack whatever they owed on the back end of their mortgage.
Mhm.
So, over the period of just say they owe now, they didn't make a payment for $10,000, that now that 10,000 would just be put on the back end of their loan, that's going to be one option.
But the only way that they could do that is if they did 3 successful payments within the next 3 months. Otherwise, everything would come due. I think that's what I remember hearing.
That's exactly what he said. You are both correct. So that is called a loan modification. One of the options that the buyers are going to have is to do a loan modification. And as was articulated, in order for them to successfully continue in that loan mod, they're going to have to, like Dee just said, make 3 payments on time. And like Curtis said, in the event that they don't make those on-time payments, the bank will begin to move forward into foreclosure. Okay, so that being said, we have a very interesting opportunity, right? Because we have a market where there's so much high demand for real estate that we're getting between 10 and 30 offers on almost each property in our metropolitan area. So to that end, we don't believe that even with foreclosures coming into effect, it's going to have a devastating effect on the market at all. In fact, even if there are quite an influx of short sales, it still doesn't fully balance out the demand that we have in this area for homes. So we don't in any way believe that this is going to cause our market to, start to topple or anything. If anything, it's going to start to help to level out and give more of the supply where there's such a large demand. That being said, too, your short sales are a totally different sales type than your standard sale. So hopefully that doesn't affect, all of the equity and things that standard sales will have in them, because they're 2 totally different sales types. So I wanted to make sure that we point that out, because as we're talking about an influx of short sales in the market, our goal and our hope is not to instill any type of fear or anything in our sellers or clients that we're talking to with regards to equity in the standard market, because the supply is still greatly outweighed by the demand. Okay, so I want to make sure that we have that perfectly clear. Now, that being said, Alan was talking to us about a marketing plan. And Curtis, I saw that you began with your marketing plan there. I want to go ahead and show you guys where to find that information so that you can go ahead and start marketing for these short sales. So everybody should be very familiar with your Broker Mint library. And as you scroll on down to short sales, you're going to see your short sale marketing tools there. And here's the one that Alan has been talking about. Okay, so your marketing plan over here. And Curtis, would you walk us through this? Because I know you've already begun it.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I sent out my 3rd and final letter yesterday, so I could time it where this Saturday I'll be door knocking around Laurel. So I have a total of 17 mailings or 17 potential properties that I'll be going after. But basically, what this is, guys, is it's a 3-letter approach that you send out in a sequence. So the first letter is kind of, just letting them know basically that, you know that something's going on, that they're kind of going through a hardship. The letters are all done for you, all customized. Basically, you just have to kind of drop their name in at the top and basically send the first one out. You then want to, I got on Amazon a big yarn of purple string. I think I posted a picture in WhatsApp. And so the second letter is kind of going into the script of, the string is there to tie it around your finger as a reminder. So what these letters are really doing is it's kind of personalizing you as the agent and making it, you trying to connect with them on a more personal level. And it's also a way that you can kind of stand out, hopefully, from the pile of other, regular mailings or however people are trying to get a hold of, this home owner. So I cut a piece of purple string or yarn. I even made the loop so you could put it on your finger, and then I taped it to the bottom of the actual letter. So that's the second letter. The third letter, which I mailed yesterday, is basically, I found these little cheap toy like stopwatch or like little stopwatch clocks you can wear on your wrist, kind of for kids. Or so I found some a while ago. So I had my watches. So the third letter is basically time is running out, which coincides with the watch or with the the cheap little gag watch gift. So time's running out. Time is of the essence. The hardship, or you've been, you understand what they're going through. You've worked with clients before. If you personally haven't worked with a short sale on the listing or buying side, your brokerage has. So at Porterhouse, you can kind of reference, the brokerage that, we definitely have worked with short sales in the past. So you don't feel, worried that you didn't physically do a short sale yet. We have, and you're part of the Porterhouse team. So, hey, your brokerage has. So then with this letter, though, this is like the real kind of call to action, where if they haven't reached out and called you on the phone yet, because you put your phone number with each letter. So if they haven't done that yet, now is the time where it's like, look, I'm going to be coming to your house. I'm going to knock on your door, because that's how much urgency I think that you need. But you set your time and date. So like yesterday, I had to beat feet to get to the mailbox, to the post office before they closed, because I wanted to ensure that the letter went out yesterday. So it's floating around the mail today. And then, I live in Laurel. All the addresses I'm working on are Laurel. So, hopefully they should have the letter by tomorrow. And then in the letter, I state that I will be in your neighborhood on the 19th around 2 to 4 o'clock. So there's a few things that can happen with that. One, they could actually really be looking out to see, are you really going to show up? And that's pretty much, so I'll go out Saturday. I'll have like a list. The way I'm going to do it, Laurel has a lot of zip codes. So I'm just going to take like the furthest out from my house zip code. I'll go through those 2 houses. Then I'll go through the next 4 houses that are closer, and then the bulk of houses. And basically just door knock. If you don't have a door hanger, I've ordered door hangers from Jay, years ago. So I have door hangers. So if nobody's there, I'm going to leave a door hanger. I'm going to print out some kind of basic comp. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to actually pull each house, what I'm going to do with that, but I'll have some kind of literature, some kind of paper. So I have the door hanger, I'll have the paper. And then I'm also going to print out our agency documents. So understanding whom, the dual agency, and the exclusive right to list, or, those documents. I plan on printing everything out pertaining to me. So kind of pre-filling out the form from the agency standpoint, and then leaving blank the other fields that now, the potential client could initial off on. So I'm not going to make I'm not going to have 18 copies, because, I as much as I would love to have 18 people sign up for me to list their property in one day, the likelihood is, I doubt that's going to happen. But, I'm going to have a few of them on the ready, and that's it. Door knock, let them know how I can be of service, and hopefully I can get a listing. I also have sent postcards through this process. So, as Jasmine pointed out, one of our recent, trainings, you want 7 touches for a potential new client. So I took that to heart, and we have the 3 letters, and then I have 4 actual postcards. So those 3 letters and the 4 postcards give me 7 touches. So I've also dropped in the mail postcards kind of throughout the past 2.5 weeks. So they've gotten these letters, but they've also gotten these postcards from me as well. So I'm hoping that, when I knock on the door and I'm like, hey, I'm the guy sending you the purple envelopes. So again, your envelope should stand out. So all my envelopes are purple. The yarn is purple. So I want to stand out in the mail so that when I go to the house and if they are there, they're like, oh, you're the guy that's been sending me all this stuff. I'm like, yes, I am. And I can help. So that's kind of, I guess, in a nutshell, the letters.
Excellent. Great job there with the recap, Curtis. I'm excited to see that you're taking this to heart, and the goal is for each and every last one of us on here to take something and apply it. So we've talked about quite a number of different marketing strategies, and our goal is that you will take one of those and hammer it away. So I want you to take one, whether it's this short sale piece, which is going to be very relevant to the market that we're in. If you decide to do this short sale piece, I want you to do it every single week, every single month, until you see the return on your investment of time, and then you put it on autopilot, okay? So I say that because there are a lot of different marketing strategies, and I have had conversations with various of our agents, and you could very well say, okay, well, with all the different options, what do I do? You're going to have to choose something that speaks to you, okay? This short sale thing, it's relevant in this COVID market. It is laid out for you in detail. Curtis went through the 3 letters and he did a stellar job in doing so. There are 17 pages in here, however, that dissect every component of what you need to know, what you need to say, how you need to do it, what you need to send, when you need to send it, what you need to order in order to place it in your envelope. So it takes out the big scary, I don't know how, or I don't know what to say factor, okay? All that information is right in BrokerMint for you. This is an entire campaign. The 3 letters are a component of the campaign, but all of the details from what you need and the cost and everything is highlighted right here in BrokerMint for you guys, okay? So should you decide to do the short sale piece, I want you to do so and be consistent with it. Does anybody have any questions right offhand? What are your thoughts about the short sale marketing campaign?
Hi, Jasmine. This is Aurelia.
Hello, Aurelia.
How are you all doing? I just want to say thank you for sharing. And I'm very interested in what you all have. I'm going to look on the website and pull it down. But I thank you for sharing that. I do think it's a relevant time right now to get into that part of marketing. But thank you.
You are so welcome. And it's right in the BrokerMint library. What are your thoughts? Does anybody else have any thoughts regarding the short sale marketing pieces?
I know, just to chime in real quick, I know that one of the things that I'm also using this as a way to force me to go door knock. So I know a lot of times, unless you're just, a door knocker and love, door knocking on strangers' houses, and, it can seem a little, you might be a little standoffish, not too eager to jump out there and go knock on doors. So for me, I kind of use this too as a way to force me, because now I got to go knock on doors on Saturday between 2 and 4 o'clock. I'm not going to, all the effort and energy I took to mail all this stuff, to do this campaign, my butt's going to go out there and knock on some doors. So I kind of look at it too as a way to pull you out of your comfort zone a little bit, and with an agenda. So it's not random door knocking, which I know some folks can do. For me, I'm a little apprehensive, but it's a way that you set everything up, and now you can kind of go knock with a little bit more sense of ease or confidence, because you've been sending them letters, and hopefully they've been opening them, reading them, and now, here you are standing in front of them. So, you know, I look at it as a way that you can kind of just get out there and aggressively be an agent, you know. So that's what I like about it.
So that's a very good point. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share or add to that? Well, one thing that I'll say for sure is a cold call, be they very effective, because cold calls have been working since the beginning of time and they still work, is very different than a warm touch. Okay. So if you've been sending this person mailers and you've sent out 3 letters, you know, 3 postcards, a door hanger, this person has seen your name and your face 7 times. You've overcome the first obstacle, which is them knowing you. They've gotten to the point, if you've sent them 7 different marketing pieces, they're going to start to believe that you are truly a professional realtor and that you know how to market yourself. So therefore, you'll know how to market their property. Okay. So you're overcoming several different things. And one of the things that Curtis said that's very important is he set a date and a time to go door knock. So he's going to do just that. So if the client sees that you've written in a letter that you're going to be there on Saturday at 1 p.m., if you're there on Saturday at 1 p.m., they're also going to see that you are not only a professional agent, but a person of your word. So that's very important. You're overcoming quite a number of things when you endeavor to be consistent with this marketing piece that's been put in place for you guys. You don't have to worry about how, you don't have to worry about all of the unknowns. Everything is laid out in front of you, okay? That being said, I want to make sure that it's perfectly clear to everybody that just like with anything else, guys, this is a numbers game, okay? So the more letters you send, the more doors you knock, the more listings that you get. With NAR, they said it's between a 2%, 2 to 6% ratio. So if you endeavor to send out 10 letters a day, 5 days a week for 2 weeks, at the end of that, you should have 2 listings, okay? But I really want to encourage you guys to resist the temptation to send out one batch of 10 letters, one batch of 20 letters, and sit around for 3 months and say this doesn't work, because it does. And the person who works it is the person that's going to reap the reward. Okay. With everything that we do, there is seed, there's time, and there's harvest. And what I really want to encourage and instill in each and every last one of us is to remain encouraged and diligent in the space of time that it takes between your seed and your harvest. Go through the process. Okay. When you're planting seeds, meaning you're going out and you're door knocking and you're sending your letters and you're sending postcards and you're putting your door hangers, all of those are seeds. No different than a farmer. And we're gonna venture into talking about our farm areas again and all these things, but you're thinking like a farmer because you're looking for a harvest. So you've got to be diligently planting seeds on a daily, consistent basis, and you got to water and nurture those seeds. Even a farmer doesn't plant a seed and walk away and say, well, the tree just didn't grow, right? You got to plant not only that seed, but multiple seeds, row after row of multiple seeds. Then you go back and water it on a regular basis, on a daily basis, you're watering that seed. And you're doing so consistently that when harvest time comes, you have such a yield. And I want to make sure that's specific to you guys here in real estate. When you are passing out business cards, when you are sending out these letters, these mailers, these door hangers, and you're doing so consistently, and you're following up with these people, you're following up by making calls and you're door knocking, and you're, whether it's an email or whatever means of communication you have, you're being diligent to follow up. That's you watering your seed. Okay. And then when it's time for you to actually reap the short sales or whatever listing types you want to take in, that's your harvest. But you're not going to get the harvest unless you're willing to endure the space of time between your seed and the harvest. And that's the process, guys. I really want you to be encouraged to know that this works. Every single thing that we're telling you guys to do, it all works. Any one of them will work. Every single one of them works. We just really want you guys to take heart in whatever it is that you decide to do, and buckle down and be persistent and be diligent in knowing that if you work it consistently without quitting, it will work for you. It has worked for us. It has worked for very many agents before you, and it will absolutely work for you. You just got to remain consistent when you're going through your process. Okay. I'm going to get off my soapbox for a moment because I hear myself on the soapbox, but I really want you guys to be encouraged in this. Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or anything that they'd like to share before we move forward?
I just have one question, Jasmine. I
Sure.
have been checking out the Realty track, and I received a phone call about them setting up different zip codes and everything specifically for you. I was just wondering, has anybody tried that out, and is that something, a good thing to invest in?
So you don't have to pay for Realty Track, and you don't have to pay for the various zip codes. I'm going to go to that. I'm glad you brought that up because that's something that we already get as a part of your Bright MLS membership. Okay.
Oh,
when-
okay.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question because I want everybody to be certain with what we're talking about in light of your short sales. Here's what Alan showed us. So you go to Bright, you're going to go to search, and you scroll down. And you see right here at the bottom of your search, you see right here, it says foreclosures. When you click on this through Bright, it's going to take you to this page where you see continue to Realty Track. Okay, click on that, give it a second. It's going to open right up for you. And in Realty Track, this is where we get all of our information for not only the pre-foreclosures, but also the short sales. Okay, the two are mutually exclusive. Although a short sale can also be a foreclosure, you have both options, both the pre-foreclosure and the short sale available to you in Realty Track. Okay, let me see what's going on here. I'm going to go out and come back in because something happened. Let's see, click on Realty Track here. Okay, there we are. So this is through Bright. So if you guys have the matrix already, then you're already paying for Realty Track. So do not pay for another list. Do not pay for a zip code. Don't pay for anything else outside of this because this is what you already have at your disposal. Okay, so you can search a city, you can search a zip code. Let's just put Upper Marlboro just as an example, Upper Marlboro, Maryland. All right, and we're going to take off the auctions and the bank owned, and we're only going to leave the pre-foreclosure. And we're going to go ahead and search those. Okay, so what we see currently in terms of pre-foreclosures in Upper Marlboro, you see 72 active pre-foreclosures right here. All right, so if Upper Marlboro is your farm area, then every last one of these people should be receiving that marketing plan from you. Every last one of them should be receiving each of those mailers coming from whichever of you has decided to have Upper Marlboro as your marketing. Okay, that being said, you're going to see a couple different types of sale opportunities here. And we went through this and we'll go through it again just briefly so that you'll see, you see this one right here that says hot. We're going to click on that one for now. All right, so you're going to see in here what it's going to call a hot sale. You see the ones that are upside down and you see the ones that have equity in them. It's going to give you an estimated value, but the estimated value, again, it's just an estimate. You're going to do a market analysis, but you see where the loan to value ratio is 89%. So that means they have equity in their home. Not a whole lot, but they have equity. They're in pre-foreclosure. Okay. So that recording date was 4/21/21. Alan talked to us about notices of default in the state of Maryland and how we know when properties go into pre-foreclosure because the notice of default was filed. All right. So these are people that you want to come in and actually help because you would be a tremendous help in helping them to get out of that foreclosure status, the pre-foreclosure status. Just like Alan said last week, foreclosure is an expensive proposition for the bank. So even a homeowner that has equity, once the property goes through foreclosure, they no longer have that equity there depending on the amount, because that bank spends all of this money for attorneys and that entire process. And then they sell it at auction. They sell it for less than the actual standard market value. So the homeowner loses twice on that. Okay, so that being said, you guys jumping in and going to actually help that homeowner to avoid that foreclosure process, you really come in like a knight in shining armor, because these people really need our help there. All right, let's click on, let's just check out another one. Here's one. This one doesn't have hot beside it, but let's see what it yields. All right, so here's another property, have the information here. Has a estimated value of 411,000, loan to value ratio 83.39%. So they have a little equity in that home as well. All right, the recording date 4/27, entered on 5/30. You see quite a bit of information here. So you want to reach out to these people. You want to be consistent and send out all of those letters. And we can go down this entire list, but you see 72 of them in Upper Marlboro alone. All right. Now, if you wanted to download or email the list, you could click over on the side and you could download or you could email those options to yourself so that you have a mailing list. So let's just say, okay, you want to email them to yourself. Done. Emailed. Okay. If I want to download them, I click there. Now this is going to allow me to download up to 3,000 without having to pay for anything. You can export them, you can download and all those different things, but I can simply email. Now, that being said, if I wanted to go down to additional options or go to another page, I can do that. But take advantage of the resources that are available through systems that you're already paying for. Does anybody have any questions about this?
I have a quick question, Jasmine. If
Mhm.
so, if the property shows that there's actually equity in the property, that wouldn't be an actual. If they do list, essentially, that wouldn't be an actual short sale, would it?
It depends. So equity versus the amount of equity needed in order to pay off all the liens and all the taxes and selling expenses. Those are two different things, right? Because for a seller to sell the property, the selling expenses are around 10 to 11%. So that being said, if you see equity in the property and you do a market analysis, say by chance the market analysis says 400,000, and you see they have, you know, $30,000 or $40,000 worth of equity, that still could be a short sale, because the cost that it's going to take them to sell the property, if when you do that net sheet, it's still a really close margin, then it could still be a potential short sale.
Okay.
Now, that being said, we have seen instances in this market, Curtis and everybody else, where sellers have started off doing a short sale, but because of such high demand, they've been able to sell their properties outright without having to proceed with the short sale process, but moving forward with the standard sale process. We've had that happen with quite a number of our sales. So to that end, you know, you're helping them out even more, because they now don't have to worry about the short sale aspect, but now they're able to do standard sales. But this is simply providing you with information so you know where to begin, you know who to send the letters to, you know where to find the letters and what specifically to say. So everything is wrapped up in a bow for you. It simply requires for you to actually do the legwork to do it, to get this done. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they'd like to add? All right, then I'm going to show you guys one more piece here. Hold on one second. Trying to move this here. All right, 1 second. Before I go here, I want to share another aspect with you guys. And this is, all right. So in your broker mint library also, you're going to see another short sale letter. So this is a slightly different approach, but there's pertinent information in here that I want to make sure that you guys know how to articulate, okay? So if you use the one that Alan has provided for us, that is excellent because it is a full marketing campaign, all right? You can add this one onto it, should you choose to. Whether you choose to add it or not, I want you to read through this and digest this information because these are alternatives, if you will. When you're talking to clients, you want to make sure that they know that foreclosure is not an option. It is not an alternative. They have various options, but foreclosure should not be one of them. So you see information in this letter that talks about a repayment plan or forbearance. You see where it tells them about the alternative of a loan modification, a short sale, a deed in lieu of foreclosure, a bankruptcy, all of those as being alternatives to a foreclosure, but foreclosure cannot be an option, okay? Then it also talks about reasons for them to avoid foreclosure. So it highlights the credit impact, maintaining control and integrity, avoiding judgment and wage garnishment, avoiding personal situation becoming a public matter, because that goes into the newspaper. Okay, avoiding possibly injuring chances for future employment or whatever type of clearances foreclosure does interrupt those things. And then some of the benefits of a short sale, the mortgage paid off. All right, so you see all this information and them potentially qualifying for relocation assistance. Let's see, you'll help to relocate them. They get a fresh start. And all of that is free of charge to them because the bank pays you. So they don't pay you anything. The bank pays you. They get a potential fresh start also. So all of these are reasons for them to avoid foreclosure and to complete a short sale if that is in their best interest. So if you guys want to tack this on to that campaign, by all means, feel free to do so. But I wanted you to know where to find that as well. Okay. One more thing for you, you'll see in your broker mint library, your short sale documents, because one of the most important things for your clients to do when you're assisting them is to help you help them. And the way that they do that is for them to provide you with all of the documents that you need. And this is the packet here for Alan and short sale services. They're going to need to provide all of these documents. It's a 28-page packet. So it's far less intense than the offers that we write or the listing documents, but there's a requirement. There's a requirement for them to provide this information, for them to fill out these forms, and for them to turn this information into Alan in short sale servicing, right? Once they've provided all of this information, and once you get their property under contract, that is when most likely the bank will stop the foreclosure proceedings. The longer they take to provide all of this information, the longer it's going to take for the bank to stop the foreclosure proceedings. And unfortunately, we had a client before that just was not diligent in turning in their work, guys. And it was a travesty because we had a ratified contract on the property. You know, we got that property marketed and under contract so fast, but the sellers did not turn in a complete package and the bank foreclosed before we could get to settlement. Not because we didn't market the property, not because we didn't get a buyer, not because we didn't submit a contract, but because the sellers were not diligent to turn in the required documentation. Okay, so you guys, when you go through this process, you're going to hear Alan talking about a complete package. The complete package means that everything in here is filled in, the requested documents are turned in, and they have a full copy of a ratified contract between the buyer and the seller and any other piece of information that they need from you as a listing agent. One is not sufficient without the other. So you want to make sure that when you go into this short sale process, you initiate that conversation with a call between the client, yourself, and Alan. He goes through that process and makes it very easy for them to understand, but then also making sure that the client understands that there is responsibility on their part to provide all of this information in a timely fashion. And if you can get this information from the client, guys, say by chance you talk to the client and they're going to need about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or so, hopefully it won't take that long. But if they need that much time before the home comes on the market, you should be setting timelines with them that, okay, I need this from you by next week, or I need this within, 72 hours, but set those real timelines and be consistent, be persistent to make sure that this information is handed in. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, Jasmine, I have a question.
All right.
I know that you all do an excellent job of having all these timelines within procurement as far as regular sales. Do you think it would be possible or even a good idea to have a short sale timeline, opposed to just a regular residential sale, since there are certain additional things that's needed for the timeline?
So that is a great question, Aurelia, and thank you for bringing that up. The process is a little bit different for a regular sale versus a short sale, because when you are coordinating a regular sale as a listing agent, you have a responsibility to do all of these things and meet the timeline. The short sale, however, is very different in that the things that you have to do for a standard sale are the things that you have to do for the short sale, and everything else is handled by short sale servicing. So they already have their timelines for every single aspect in the transaction. They have documents, they have contacts with the bank and with the seller and with the, the investors and all those things. So the part that would potentially be added is not for us to add, because we partner with them and they take care of all of that. The only thing that as an agent you'll have to do is respond to something. So in the event they say, okay, well, we need this document signed by the seller, or we need this document signed by the buyer and the seller, then you simply would provide them with what they need on a needed basis, if you will. But your listing checklist stays the same. They do their part aside from, or in addition to, what you do. Does that make sense, Aurelia?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You are so welcome. That was a great question. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. So as it pertains to the short sale piece, we know how to find them. Okay. You know how to find all your short sales. You can put in any city you want. Now, for Virginia, they don't do the same in terms of their notices of default, but you can find the others right here. You want to make sure to deselect auction and bank owned, because you're only looking for the pre-foreclosures. So you know how to find them. Once you find them, you know how to email them to yourself. Once you email them to yourself, you know how now to go to BrokerMint and actually look at the campaign that you're going to be using. Okay. See the information here for the various letters. Now, the campaign recommends that you handwrite the letters, and that is the best course of action. That being said, I am a fan of efficiency. So if you guys can print out this letter in a handwriting font from your computer that looks like this, I am all for it. Okay. So if you can just copy that, you download it, copy it from here, and then paste it right into your own, maybe Google Docs or something like that. And you add the, your information. You can add your picture, add your telephone number down to the bottom, add the client's name up there. Just do that information, print it out, go through this campaign with adding all the little, the bells and whistles to it, and just be diligent, guys. And you will start to see a return on your investment of time. Be consistent, be diligent, and know that this thing works, okay? Does anybody have any questions or anything? All right, then I'm going to stop this share for now, and I will give a brief introduction to our next portion of the training, but we will not have time to go into it right now. All right, so our targeted marketing. We've had this conversation in this training a number of times before, and it's always good to recircle or circle back through this information and recycle it for you guys. Each agent should have a targeted market. You need to know where your farm area is, and that's going to be based on your preferences. So the goal is that you dominate the area that you live in, but you don't have to choose the area that you live in for your farm area. That is your choice. But whatever your farm area is, you need to choose it so that you can be consistent with all of your marketing activities in that area. All right. This training is going to take us several weeks to get through the entire training. So I will not start on that because that's quite a bit of information. We've touched on the pre-foreclosure. We've touched on the short sale aspect. We touched on Realty Tracks. We've touched on how to print that information, email it to yourself. RPR is another great resource for your foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, distressed properties. We've gone through that before. If you guys have not downloaded it, every single one of our agents should have RPR downloaded, because you're able to look at, no matter where you are, you're able to look within a half a mile to a mile radius and find these distressed properties with a click of a button without having to go through Realty Track or anything. You just open up your RPR app and you can find it just like that. Now, one thing that I want to highlight to you guys really quickly is in RPR and HomeSnap, specifically in HomeSnap, you're going to find the homeowner's telephone numbers, right? So we're talking about mailers and we're talking about door hangers and all those things, but you get another added benefit when you use even the HomeSnap, because then you can find the homeowner's telephone numbers, right? So your marketing campaigns, we're talking about all these things, the direct mail pieces, door knocking and everything, all of these are together. Curtis says something very important because he said at least 7 touches. At least 7 touches is important in order for them to get to know you as a real estate professional. That being said, NAR shows that conversions are made between the 8th and the 12th follow-up. That's when your conversions happen. After you've done 7, they say, okay, well, now I know who you are, Aurelia. Now I know who you are, Curtis. Now you're not just, somebody that might send me something today and I might never see again. Now I know that you're a real estate professional and I can likely trust the information that you're giving to me. So now when you start to follow up between that 8th and 12th time, that's when conversion happens, all right? So whether it's you following up with them on a consistent daily basis or whatever that looks like for you, follow up until you get the leads there, guys. All right. So there are various other marketing types in here, from for sale by owners, with scripts and how to find them, where to find them and all those things. But again, we will not have time to go through this information today, but I just wanted to kind of whet your your palate and give you just a little bit of oversight or insight on what it is that we're going to be going through for this next few weeks. All right. Does anybody have any questions about anything or anything that they'd like to add?
I just had one last question for Curtis. Curtis, now that you're towards the end of the 7th contact, do you know what the estimated cost was and doing all the mailing since you've been dealing with Laurel
Yeah.
directly?
So basically the original letters and postcards are pretty standard. I think it was 35 or 45 cents per envelope.
Yeah, for your, okay.
However, I will say, and I was actually going to chime in, when I went to mail the watches yesterday, because of the awkward nature of the envelope, even though the envelope itself wasn't heavy, they charged me $4 per envelope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I was even in the post office,
Okay.
like, what do you talk like $4? Like, it's same envelope I used for the other letters, but because of, they were like, well,
The
it's
weight.
Well, it wasn't even heavy, but they were like, because of the watch just popped the envelope up, they were like, well, now it's a package. And I was like, it's a, so
Oh,
needless to say, they were testing my patience at the end of the day. And I had to like get my kids, throw them in the car. I was like, look, I got to get to the post office. So I was rushing, and then I had an event. I had to take the kids, right after. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take this licking. It's $4. Go ahead and do it. Cause I was there. They were about to close. So I was going to even pose to everybody. If anybody comes across a different watch or a different kind of gag stopwatch or gag clock of any sorts, please let me know.
Curtis, did you use this one?
Which one?
Can you guys see my screen?
no.
No, we see the computer screen,
Okay,
like the slideshow. We see the red and green,
got it.
like, yeah.
Apologies. All right, let's see.
Mhm.
Can you see it? Hold on, let's see. Interesting. Let me see if I can do. How about now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I've been sharing with you guys this whole time. I was not aware that you can no longer see my screen. See, I'm glad I asked that. So the watches in here, is this the one that you use? Because Aurelia, this
So
answers your question too.
yeah, those watches I couldn't find again, but they were very similar to that. And with that said, I think that I should have
Okay.
used the bubble wrap envelope.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I plan on actually going back to the post office and be like, look, I only have one watch left. So I bought like a few packs. And from the last one campaign I did, and now this one was a lot. So I used 17 of them. So I only have one left, but I'm going to take that one and then possibly like a bubble wrap envelope and just see, is the rate different? Because it was just a standard, regular letter size envelope. So I mean, the letter was nothing, I don't know. The letter itself, or the envelope itself, was standard. It was just the way that popped up, and the lady was even a little surprised too. Working at the post office was like, because $4 for one envelope was a lot. So with that said, the watch was almost identical. So it looked at the same parameters. It just was a different design, but it was very similar to that. So that's something I'm going to be researching, and I would highly recommend, if anybody is about to start a campaign, you may want to go, get all your materials in order. So that's one thing that it makes it easier. You get your string, you get all your envelopes you want to use, whether it's pink or purple, whatever, you kind of get everything in your hands. You got it all. And now you can kind of conveniently pull up, your potential short sales you're going to go after. But before you do it, I would be clear that your post office, this is how much the last letter is going to cost. The other ones are standard, just whatever normal stamp you get. I bought like 2 books of stamps. I bought like 2 books of postcard stamps, because those are a little less than the regular postage stamps. And so now I have them at the ready, and as I do a campaign, I can
So
just
what
bam,
about
bam,
the
bam.
postcards itself? We ordered out those.
So the
So the
postcards,
postcards itself, we ordered those through Porterhouse, right?
well, so these are different. So like what Porterhouse, from my understanding, like Shay can actually we can do targeted postcards. So, just say 20774. We can like mail a targeted, like, blast of postcards to that particular, a particular zip code address and the parameter around that. With these, because I'm mailing like 3 at a time, I might mail 18 at a time. I might mail 1 at a time. So with these, what I did is it's called Prospect Plus. I think I'll find it. I think it's Prospect Plus, where in there you can customize the postcard. So you can pick one postcard if you want. They have tons of them. They have them for 4th of July. They have them for holidays, for potential expires, potential short sales, potential first-time home buyers, renter. They have all kinds of like marketing material that you can then customize. So you can put your picture on it. You can truly customize the stack of postcards. The nice thing too is that I ordered like 50 of each of the 3 different postcards. And then now as I use them, so now I just did a campaign. So I went down the first postcard I'm going to send. I just filled out all 17 postcards and I dropped them in the mail. So these are more specific to you. I know the ones that we do at Porterhouse are kind of like a blast marketing, like when you have a new listing, now I'm going to send out a blast, new listing on the market to this neighborhood area, letting them know, hey, I'm an agent here. I got this property on the market. So that's something I know we do in-house at Porterhouse. But for this kind of approach, I just went out and I made my own postcards because I'm not sending them every day, or I'm not sending them, to specific, okay, now I'm going to do a campaign. Okay, I need these 5 postcards for these 5 addresses. I got them here and they're ready. So I'll post in WhatsApp. I want to say it's Prospect Plus or Prospecting Plus, but it's a specific realtor kind of website. They do, they have all kinds of things. You can buy newsletters, you can buy, they'll print for you, mail it to you, and then you have it at the ready. Or I think they'll even, for an extra fee, they'll send it for you or what have you. I just wanted, looking at those 7 touches, I just went through, I found these 4 postcards or these 3 postcards. I have 3 of them. And then I know these are specific for this short sale campaign. And so I just made like 50 of them or 100 of them. It wasn't too expensive. And then they're ready though. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying with like your yarn, the envelopes you want to use. Everything's broken down in that document that Jasmine was showing us. So it tells you everything that you need to do. I just highly recommend that you get all your tools in place, because you don't want to send one letter out and then you're sitting there like, oh man, I need to get string, or I need to, because you want to keep it kind of rolling. Like I knew I had a 2-week window. So once I dropped that first thing in the mail, I'm on. I know, okay, now this one has to go out. This has to go out. This has to go out. This has to go out. And now Saturday, I need to knock on the door. So having all your stuff in place, it'll make it a lot smoother of a process for you.
Excellent.
Thank you for
sharing
that information.
Mhm.
Yep.
But everybody comes across a watch. let me know, because I had to really search. I got them I think Oriental Trading is where I got these watches, which is recommended. But I was looking around. So if anybody does come across any other, cheap little watch or something, please, post it to the group, because I need to get some more.
Got it. So guys, I want you to thank you for that, the explanation, Curtis, and thank you for the
Yes, thank
question, Aurelia. You guys are awesome. I'm going to
Sure thing.
wrap us up because we are 3 minutes over time, and I honor your time. I want to let you guys get back to what you're doing. But in closing, I want to direct your attention to these couple of pages inside of that campaign. So it has each mailing. So from your first mailing, it has each one of the pieces that you're going to need. It has the cost per quantity, the vendor where you can buy it from. So it has a total estimated for the first mailer, as you can see where to get the colored envelopes from. You can order them online, the card stock, as well as the postage. So all of these things are taken into account for the first mailing. Same thing for the second mailing. You're going to see that you need a different type. So you see, different features in each of the different stages in your campaign, if you will. But I want to bring to your attention the third mailer, because like Curtis said, that one was the more expensive one. You'll see in here where it has the third mailer, and then you also see a less expensive alternative. He said something that was very important, because as you see in the item column on the left, there's a different envelope requirement for the third one. and that different envelope requirement. I don't work at the post office, but I think that they charge a different rate depending on the envelope that you use. So with this particular type of envelope, the postage was about 88 cents for that type of envelope. So it is apparent that with different types of envelopes, if you kind of stuff it, then they are going to charge you a different cost. But I would recommend that you start with what's laid out for you here. Start here. And if you want to venture out from there, then by all means, make it your own. But I want you to start with what's already been researched and laid out for you. And then you can kind of figure out from there if you want to do that again, or if you want to find a different alternative. But at least start here, guys, okay? And you see where to order everything, what the cost should be. All right. Does anybody have any questions or anything else they'd like to share? Because I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go for today. You've been amazing.
Just real quick, when you guys are looking at those prices and everything, you know, I don't know when this was made, but you can always easily cross-reference and hit up good old Amazon and
Mhm.
look for bulk, you know, bulk envelopes, bulk bubble wrap envelopes, you know, so that's also, you know, basically ordering the same thing, but you might, you know, find a better price or what have you.
Excellent, excellent point there. You guys are awesome. All right. If anybody has any other questions, speak now or ask them next week. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to ask or share before we end for the day?
Thanks for the information.
You guys are very welcome. You've been amazing as always. I will see you next Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording for today, and it will be uploaded on the Porterhouse YouTube channel so that you can go back and look at it again should you need to. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day and give us a call if you need anything.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
so
day.
much.